put this story into three parts. I won't be sharing completely today. It is super interesting. Colonel Sanders' name was Harland Sanders. He was born in September 9th in 1890 in Indiana. And as of today, just to give you facts, KFC is around over 25,000 outlets all over the world. And I don't know, there's a millions of revenue KFC does. And the quick fact is that Colonel Sanders doesn't own KFC. Okay, this is just a twist, but now I'll share what his story is all about. The first phase of the story is from his 5 years old to 15 years old. After he was born, the first challenge hit on him in the age of 5 when his father passed away, and his mother had to work odd jobs, sewing and canning factory. He had 2-3 siblings, and he had to manage since childhood for survival. At maybe at the age of 7 years old, he started cooking as well for some places. He also worked in different farms. And while he was working in farms, the problem was that he was spending too much time with animals. So the owner of the farm used to kick him out, tell him that you're not fit for working, just go out of the farm. And the moment he goes to his home and tells his mom that I was fired, his mom used to bash him a lot, that you're fit for nothing. You know that we are not surviving and we need survival money, and you're not able to stick to one job and do something good. That was the first turning point for him. At the age of 10 to 12, he realized that he has to do something big in his life so that he can earn the respect of his mom and do something really good. So that is the first turning point. Then what happened at the age of 12 to 13, his mom married to another man, and that man hated the kids, hated his siblings, and that created a lot of conflicts. And it was so much of mental torture for him that he left his home and went out on his own. He went on to multiple places, did a lot of work outside, and he even dropped out of the school. At the age of 13, he dropped out of the school. Colonel Sanders, okay? Now the next phase of the life starts when he's at the age of 15 to 40. 15 to 40 is very interesting. He did everything in his life, all kinds of jobs. He was a car conductor, he is a salesman, he was a secretary, he was a painter, he was also an army soldier for 6 months. He was an army soldier, but he was not a colonel because of this reason. And he also lost all of his jobs in his time, and with his tough life, he even had a lot of breakups, and he had he left his wife, and a lot of kids happened. And this is personal challenges which I won't talk much, but this is what was happening in the age of 15 to 40. All of struggle, all of heartbreaks, all of mental breakdown, but he wanted to do something more. At the age of 40, what just happened? While he was fixing his personal relationship, I think when his wife left him and went to her parents' house, father came and did some, jugaad or whatever we call relationship fixing, and then they got back and they were kind of living a survival-based life while he was working a lot of normal odd jobs. At age of 40, he got a job in Shell. Okay, the Shell petrol bunk, if you're aware of. It was, I think, around 1930 or 1920. At that 40 years old, he was given a responsibility to run the Shell petrol bunk. And within a year of time, 1 or 2 years, he realized that it was super boring for him just to do nothing there. So he started thinking creatively, how can he make his petrol bunk a little more interesting? So he used to put some cafes there. He used to serve some chips, chicken. He used to fry some chicken, which took around 35 minutes, 40 minutes. And very soon he realized people started coming more and more, and they were kind of fond of his chicken. And only challenge was the demand was so high that he was not able to fulfill too much of chicken what people loved. And every time he cooked the chicken, it took at least 30 to 40 minutes to cook and fry and give it to people. And now he was stuck. The scale he was getting, he was stuck that how do I even serve so many people? I'm just one person and I don't have any other possibilities. His creative mind rang the bell. He found 2-3 ways. One was normal way to fry the chicken, which takes 30 to 40 minutes, which was not going to work out. Second is to doing deep frying with an oil or something, you put in the chicken or any fry item, it will fry. But the problem with that was the fry, when you deep fry it, the evenness around the taste doesn't come. Sometimes it will be little burnt, little less burnt. So it was not serving the original quality. And luckily at that point of time, the pressure cooker concept was very, very new there. People were buying a lot of pressure cooker, and he thought, okay, let me experiment with pressure cooker. He took almost maybe 1-2 months to experiment what kind of temperature or kitna combination of pressure cooker and how much time he has to keep in the steam and everything. And he realized and he figured out that within 8 minutes he could cook chicken. And this was not a secret. In fact, he figured out there was a secret of 11 herbs and spices, which made the chicken so delicious. And that made his store so popular that people came from so far to just to eat his chicken and enjoy that particular experience. And you know what was his age? His age was around maybe 40, 41, 42, 43. It was just a normal one cafe or one store he was running. In fact, it became so popular at age, I think it was 1935, at the age of 45. In fact, the scale has become so high that state governor of Kentucky at that point of time honored him a title for colonel. So that was a time where his colonel title came because he was so popular around feeding or serving people around this chicken. Okay, so this is very interesting. Now, 1935, if you observe the year 1935, and in the 1939, while he had some success, 8 to 9 years of success, World War II hit. I think 1939 to 1945 was World War time, and all of his stores, in fact, if you won't believe it, he already had around 140 stores to run that point of time. All 140 stores burned down. That's it, done. And after 1939, after the World War, he didn't give up. And 1945, he restarted his business again. He started from the scratch. It went on to again maybe around 5 to 8 years. At this point of time, he got a lot of opportunity. It's like if you have a lot of businesses, good ideas, and your business is thriving, many investors will come and call you, hey, I want to buy your company, or I want to offer good amount of money. You sell it off to me and I want to buy it. One of the salesmen, I forgot his name, but yeah, he came and offered him around $160,000 at that point of time to sell his whole business, but he denied. And after he denied, just 5 years after, in his area where he had a lot of stores, the American state highway was built there. And because of highway state was built, the expressway was so huge that his stores was kind of neglected and his sale dropped. He was kind of in a survival mode. The business collapsed and he had to sell his business just half the price what the salesman was offering. Again, deadlock. And what was his age? Can you believe it at this point of time? His age was already 64, 65. He was again grassroots level at the age of 65. Just luckily he had this survival social security survival, which is $105 per month. In today's case, we call in India as a pension. People, if you're in army or something, you get some pension. But even now, there's no pension for anyone else. But yeah, that he was just surviving at the pension. And he quoted in this biography, a very beautiful quote. I'll just read it out. If I hadn't be 66 years old and had 105 social security check coming every month, I don't know what I would have done. But for me, it was not a matter of giving up. It was a problem of what to do next. मन में अगर कुछ कीड़ा है ना, कुछ करने का उसका कीड़ा था, जितना भी कुछ हो जाए लाइफ में कुछ तो करना है भाई. अब क्या करूं मैं, अटक गया. What to do next? That's when the turning point happened. This was the phase 4 of his life at the age of 66. He brainstormed a lot. What to do? Ab kya kare? He thought, okay, let me sell my recipe. He took up his car. I think his car was Ford. I forgot the Ford brand name. He took his Ford car. He put 2-3 pressure cookers in his dicky, and with his spices, he left off to different restaurants in the highway to pitch them, to tell them that my recipe is good. If it is good, you give me an opportunity. And even to do the demo, it was not just doing the demo, going to the restaurant and offering some pre-cooked chicken. It was a demo where it took 2 to 3 days. He offered the restaurant that give me a chance. I will come to your restaurant kitchen. I will cook for a few hours. And you ask your customer to taste my chicken. If they like it, I will stay for 2 to 3 days until you see the growth that the recipe which I'm offering you, it is adding value to your store. After doing this, it took almost 1 to 2 years. And do you know the number of rejections he faced in this 2 to 3 years? 1,009 times he faced rejections. And that is when he found the first breakthrough. It was in 1952. There was a guy called Pete Harmon. He agreed to sell his chicken, and within just a year, his sales tripled. Pete, who just took his first franchisee, sales tripled in 3 times. And that's when Pete coined the phrase called finger licking good. The coin of finger licking good, which you see in the brand, came by the first guy who bought the franchisee, finger licking good. And after this, it was all pull effect. There was no push anymore. There was no demo. There was no rejections. He was bombarded with a lot of people coming to him just to partner and buy the franchisee and run the stores. In 1952, it was just started, the first franchisee. 1963, he had 600 outlets across US and Canada. 600 outlets. And the company was now worth millions of dollars. And in next 2 years, which is 1965, the outlet count was 900 outlets, including UK and Japan. Unbelievable. Just in 10 years and his persistence, 900 outlets. But do you think this is the end of the story? Not yet. And the last phase, this was not the end of the story. Now, at that point of time, when he was almost, I think, 74, I think it was 74. At the age of 74, he had 900 outlets. He was financially free. He was all set. He was thinking, chalo abhi retirement le lete hain. But obviously, he could not. Group of entrepreneurs came. The guy called John Brown, who came again to offer to buy KFC from him. And they were after him for almost 1 year. They persisted after Colonel Sanders कि hey, please बेच दो देखो आप तो बूढ़े हो गए, आपका legacy कौन संभालेगा? Who will take your legacy? I didn't mention that. I told you that he had a family of 3 children. At the age of 57, he lost all of his families. All of his kids died at the age of 20. So he had no family at the age of 74. He was all alone, and his wife left him because once a kid died, out of the grief, they couldn't survive the relationship, husband-wife relationship. So they divorced. So his personal life was already screwed. And at the age of 74, when the entrepreneur came and asked him, hey, let me run this legacy, and I promise you, I won't do any changes in your quality. I will maintain the quality which you have done, and I'll ensure this is maintained. And after a lot of thinking, he let it go. Colonel sold the company at I think $2 million, which could be around $20 million at this point of time, as of speaking today. And he thought he will take retirement, but instead John Brown also offered him advisory position so that he can promote. And if you see his logo where his face was there wearing this white suit, he used to travel across the country giving a lot of promotional videos, promoting his chicken. And he was passion guy. He was all about passion and fire. Wherever he went, people were so he was so attracted towards his speech and to his passion, and the brand value grew to that level that after again 10 years, that John Brown sold the company to some other big conglomerate, and that's where the whole change started. After it was sold to some other conglomerate, they made a lot of changes. They changed the recipe. They wanted to grow more, and this create again one more kida at this Colonel Sanders that I started something, you made my brand something, and you're putting my photo logo there. He sued, he filed, in fact, he was so frustrated. At the age of 80, he started one more restaurant at that point of time. Again, the name of the restaurant was the Colonel's Lady Dinner House. He named this on his wife's name. And he started again a new restaurant where he again sold KFC there, his own authentic dish. And this was so irritating to the company who was taking his brand name. They sued him that, hey, you cannot start this again. And this went on to lawsuit at the age of 80. He fought back, and you won't believe it, he won the lawsuit. He got $1 million in return. And in fact, those company allowed him to restart his own restaurant. Till today, the original KFC is not the KFC what you eat. The original KFC is in Kentucky right now, and still it is running. I think the name of his original authentic KFC is Claudia Sanders Dinner's House. He renamed it after the lawsuit, and it went on to a legacy. And I think as of today, you already know it is, I think, 25,000 plus, 30,000 plus KFC outlet. And his new business model, franchisee model, was in the age of 65, became millionaire of 74. He died at the age of 90. And just before 1 month back, he died out of leukemia. And even 1 month back, he was working and cooking KFC before he died. Even before he died, he didn't stop his passion. So that was Colonel Sanders. And in his autobiography, there was one more really good quote, which I really liked it. He had written that after all through his life in an interview, one has to remember every failure can be stepping stone to something better. He was a living example for that. The statement is very, very simple, but he was a living example that until he died, he kept that sentence and moved on. And that's why the legacy is still there. And we are reading the story.